all the way my Savior leads me. Cheers each winding path I tread, gives me grace for every trial, feeds me with the living bread.
Good morning, everybody. Chester ARP Church Devotional Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Clint Davis, your host. It is a joy to be with you as we read the Bible and discuss it. It's what we do. 2 Samuel chapter 17 is where we are. Hushai saves David. David's still on the run from his son Absalom, and there is a council taking place, a war council. Absalom trying to figure out what his next steps are. Now that he's taken Jerusalem, what does he do with David, who is on the run? Verse 1 of chapter 17. Moreover, Ahithopel said to Absalom, "Let me choose 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue David tonight. And I will come upon him while he is weary and discouraged, and throw him into a panic. And all the people who are with him will flee. And I will strike down only the king, and I will bring all the people back to you as a bride comes home to her husband. You seek the life of only one man, and all the people will be at peace." And the advice seemed right in the eyes of Absalom and all the elders. Then Absalom said, "Call Hushai the Archite also. Let us hear what he has to say." And when Hushai came to Absalom, Absalom said to him, "Thus has Ahithophel spoken. Shall we do as he says? If not, you speak." Then Hushai said to Absalom, "This is the time the counsel that Ahithophel has given is not good." Hushai said, "You know that your father and his men are mighty men, and they are enraged, like a bear robbed of her cubs in the field. Besides, your father is expert in war. He will not spend the night with the people. Behold, even now he has hidden himself in one of the pits or in some other place. And as soon as some of the people fall at the first attack, whoever hears it will say, 'There has been a slaughter among the people who follow Absalom.' Then even the valiant men, whose heart is like the heart of a lion, will utterly melt with fear. For all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and that those who are with him are valiant men. But my counsel is that all of Israel will be gathered unto you from Dan to Beersheba as the sand by the sea for multitude, and that you go into battle in person. So we shall come upon him in some place where he is to be found, and shall light upon him as the dew falls on the ground. And of one and of all the men with him, not one will be left. If he withdraws to a city, then all Israel will bring ropes to that city, and we shall drag it into the valley, until not a pebble is to be found there." And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, "The counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithopel. For the Lord had ordained to defeat the good counsel of Ahithopel, so that the Lord might bring harm upon Absalom." I want to stop right there. Absalom is trying to figure out exactly what to do. What is his next step? He has taken the kingdom. David has run. He's fled from Jerusalem. Absalom's taken the city, and now he's trying to establish himself as king, the rightful king over the people. He's trying to get rid of his threat to the kingdom, which was his own father, David. By the way, this is David's kingdom. David flees, and the men flee with him, and their families. They go out into the wilderness on their way out of town. They've been traveling all night. Absalom says, "What do we do?" Well, Ahithophel, whose counsel was well esteemed by both David and Absalom, he was considered to be one of the greatest counselors. Just prior to, in chapter 16, we're told that as he spoke as if one had spoken to God. Ahithophel said, "Let's choose 12,000 men and let's go tonight. Let's go get David tonight. We'll come upon him while he's weary, he's discouraged. We'll throw him into a panic. All the people with him will flee. I'll strike down only the king, and then we'll all come back, and the kingdom will be yours." Now, that's probably the best advice he could have received. Quite simply, it makes perfect sense. It's wise. Listen, you got the guy on the run. He's dreading having to leave. He's caught off guard. He's tired. He's exhausted. He's in grief. He's panicked. Let's go get him while we can. Let's strike, as it were, while the iron is hot. Hushai hears this, but remember, Hushai has been sent by David to be a protector of David, and to be one who competes with Ahithopel for the attention of Absalom. He is called by David specifically to defeat the counsel of Ahithopel. And so Hushai comes into the picture after Absalom calls for him. Why did Absalom call for him? Because God put that burden on his heart. There was no need to, but he was called in and to give his opinion. And Hushai says, after he goes in this long speech, listen, it's better for us to wait and get up an army and then go attack David, because if you go get him tonight, he's a man of war. He's hidden himself. There's no way you're going to be successful. Let's gather up strength for you, and then let's go get David after we gather up all the people of Israel to go to war with us. We'll outnumber him. We'll go to war. We'll win, and you will have a rightful victory. And Absalom and all those who listened thought that's better advice. Hushai, you note here, was very flattering, which is exactly what Absalom wanted. He wanted somebody to make him feel good about himself, to potentially give him the indication that he's going to have better opportunities and more success. Everybody listens to Hushai, and they decide not to follow Ahithopel's advice. And it was to the detriment of Absalom's cause. It brought great destruction, but it was as a result of the will of God, because at the end of the section we read, into verse 14, we're told, "For the Lord had ordained to defeat the good counsel of Ahithopel, so that the Lord might bring harm upon Absalom." We talked about this yesterday. God's at work in all things. And so God is working here to defeat the counsel of Ahithopel, and he works through the counsel of Hushai to do it. And I think perhaps the great lesson for us today is, as we think about what God's doing, we have to make sure we're pursuing God's will. We have to make sure that that God is at work, and we can see where he's at work. We have to make sure we trust him as David trusted the Lord, and recognize that God is working all things for his glory and for his purposes and for the good of his people. And we got to trust him in that, because this is another example of how God confused the counsel of Absalom's peers away from that of Ahithophel to that of Hushai, and God confounded their counsel and their wisdom, and ended up being victory to his people. You guys take care. This is how God works. You guys take care. Be encouraged in the Lord. Walk with him. Know that he is working in all things. You guys take care. God bless you. See you tomorrow.
You carry me close to your heart and show